I think there's one other area I wanted to cover in this mobile Genesis area. I know there's people going to be purchasing different radios and gateways at the moment. Do you have any advice for people since Mobile Genesis come out on any advice like do's or don'ts for purchasing radios and gateways over the next, few weeks, few months, because we're getting very close to Genesis, and we not really sure exactly how long this is lasting. It's either a few months or many months. I guess we'll find out more as time goes on.
So I would say if you believe that Helium 5G is going to be something and you want to be a part of this growth, there's no better time than right now to get it, because the earnings that you can see on Hotspotty, you can say, okay, well, what does mobile translate to H&T? H&T is at X dollars today. How does this translate into USD? We don't know. We don't know yet. But when you look at the token distribution during Mobile Genesis is 100 million tokens per day, distributed across 2,000 small cells as of right now. Right? That's tremendous tokens that you could earn. And even if it's worth, like, I would think I was doing a calculation today, something like, if you have, like me, I have 3 radios set up at my house, 2 indoor and 1 outdoor currently. And even if the token's worth like a penny, I mean, it's tremendous possible from an earnings perspective. And I think right now the user base has an opportunity, or people who are bullish on IoT, they have an opportunity to say, it's expensive today, but the payoff potential is there. And I think that's really what's driving a lot of the momentum right now. You look at Mobile Genesis and it's coming, and people, as you're showing, Jess, can come here and say, okay, well, I want to get this many radios, and you can do a quick little simulation that says if you have 1 radio, the earnings are X, and the earnings, of course, being mobile token. I'm not promising anyone any rewards or anything like that. I want that to be clear. But there will be a translation to H&T coming at the end of the Genesis period, and that will translate into potential real dollars. What that is, we don't know at the moment. But yeah, I mean, look, you got to look at your financial situation, where you can deploy it, and now's the early time. So I would just recommend anyone that's really interested on the cusp, get an indoor radio bundle, and you can set it up, and it takes no time. Anyone can do it following the user guides from any of the vendors, and you can get started and be a part of this ecosystem from the beginning.
Yeah, that's a really good point, to be financially aware of what you're buying and prepare for the future, because the Mobile Genesis is for a limited time, and you're going to want to have a really good location where you can start picking up data credits from other users in the network, because that's ultimately where this will end. So it's buyer beware, but also do your due diligence, do your research, and know you have a good location that you can actually grab.
Right. Yeah, and I always look at it as, I look at it from the lens of what was HNT, what was Helium like, right, when it first launched. And I remember actually being one of the first users of it, because it was a very interesting concept, buying like their first gen hotspot and everything. And yeah, obviously you were rewarded handedly, being a first user. And if you look at the math as far as how many tokens, right, they're planning to divvy out for mobile, and a huge portion of that is in that Genesis period, right? So if you're one of the first movers, and you believe, in this network, and the potential for it, it's a huge advantage for anyone who can deploy it during this time.
Do we know how long Mobile Genesis is gonna last? I think there are people who think it's a couple months, and the mappers are coming out in in a couple months, or some people saying, oh yeah, this is going to last like 8 to 9 months or even a year. Do you guys have any insight on this?
I personally don't. I've heard mixed answers when I tried to get the insight too, but I do think like a lot of it does center around the witness, right? Once that becomes readily available and they start pushing that, that does sound like that timeline is maybe when they turn off the faucet a bit. But from my own taking, I couldn't get any straight answers either. But I would hear from a few months, is like the most average I'm hearing. Is it'll probably last for a few months.
Yeah, I would also say I don't know, but looking at HIT 53 and all the complexities around actually building this first network of networks, like this is going to be the first sub DAO. So you have the L1 blockchain that's Helium, and you're going to have these L2 blockchains, which there's just a ton of complexity that has to be built out, and I think that I'll just say patience again, that we probably don't know how long it's going to be, and I think that the reality is it's just going to take some time to get right, and they're going to have to get it right the first time, because there's just a tremendous amount at stake, and it's just complicated. Look at what the oracles are going to have to do, the way that they're going to do POC coverage, and challenges, and the challengees have to exist in the form of witnesses now, right? All of that is changing because the propagation characteristics of CBRS are not like LoRa, right? And so you have to have these other devices, and all that just brings a lot of complexity. So I think at this time it's really hard to tell how long it's going to be. I would say that with the delays in mobile genesis, it's likely to be on the longer side of the predictions. Maybe not a year, but maybe not later in early Q4, for example. I think that's probably too fast.
Maybe it's long enough for more people to join in, participate, and benefit, but also short enough for people who don't participate to regret about it in the future.
Yes, for sure.
This is maximum pain.